Evan Lindsay, thank you, sir. This is dope. So I'm currently in Asheville, North Carolina. This is an affiliate you've owned, or a license you've owned for how many years now?
I took this over in January
franchise.
2021.
2021.
So
okay.
16, 17, 18 months.
All right. Now, we have a similar background. You owned a CrossFit affiliate up in Canada. Hockey player, that's kind of how you got connected with Kirk and Brandon, all you Canucks just fucking up there slapping sticks and pucks around and all that stuff and having your fucking Tim Hortons and all the cliche Canadian things. You end up going down the ultra difference of Canada. You end up going to the Caymans. Weather was cold. Wife got sick. And the Caymans just like now just home. Like we're just like, this is way better.
Cayman's home, man. Yeah, we've been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
So stayed there. We still got a cabin up north. So
okay.
My wife works in the schools. So we leave. So we're down there for 10 months, head home for 2 months, live on the lake, and then we turn around and come back.
I love it.
So that's good.
I love it. It's nice when you get to go back home and you literally just use your home for like the good season. Like I will not go to Cleveland, Ohio unless it's like crisp fall weather. And that's it. Other than that, I'm like, there's not a fucking chance I'm setting foot in Cleveland, Ohio in December.
Yeah, dude.
So this Asheville location is a MADabolic franchise. Now, you didn't open this, did you? You bought this out from someone?
So this location's been open for, I think it'll be 8 years coming up. So I just took this over in January. It was kind of during the pandemic. It hadn't ever really done particularly well. It had done like good enough.
Is that an Asheville thing, or was it the operator?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't want you to throw the former franchisee under the bus, but like...
I think there was certain attributes of things that, whether it was this person or any person, they get stuck at different points. And I think for them, it was a skill set. They were very much a doer. They wanted to stay in the business, do the things. And I don't think they knew any other way to grow the business. So for them, I think they got stuck on their own skill set. And I do find the Asheville market I love Asheville. It's a tricky market. It's not an easy market where you can just pop it up and there's lots of people. There's a lot of service industry people here. There's a lot more transient folks. The cost of living is high. The cost of rent is high. So to run a profitable location in this market, you just have to know your numbers and you have to be a good operator and you have to be able to multiply your team. Otherwise, it's not going to go. You just can't do it. You're going to get too tired trying to run it off that same treadmill.
Yeah. When I think of site location for a franchise like MADabolic, Asheville seems super, super tricky to me because you said it is a tourist trap. It is transient. It costs a lot, but this is not necessary. This isn't a mecca of people making a ton of money. So it's a tough fucking spot. And the downtown area is very much little islands, right? Like if you're on one side of downtown, it's not an easy way to get over to the other side of downtown. It's tough. This place is as hippie as it gets to a degree, right? So the MADabolic, the Grit brand, the whole thing, it's like, when I think of Asheville, I'm like, that's a tough spot to open gym. Why'd you take it on?
Yeah, that's a good question. Last gym I had, we grew that. So we had the CrossFit gym. We opened that in 2009. Had that for 5 years. The first 2 years were, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and it was very painful.
A 2009 CrossFit affiliate who doesn't know what he's doing? Weird. Never heard of that.
Dude, yeah, working full-time at the fire hall, running to the gym, working 90 hours a week.
When you say fire hall, is that a firehouse up in Canada?
Yes.
Like a fire station?
Yeah, I was a fireman.
Okay. I'm like, fire hall. I'm like, that sounds, I don't know, it sounds like the name of a cool bar. Okay. So fireman. All right.
Yeah, so I was doing the fireman thing for like 2 years. Gym got stuck. Kind of like one of the usual spots where CrossFit gyms get stuck. It was like 10, 12,000 a month. Yep. Couldn't figure out how to get past it. Finally, let the ego go, asked for some help, and all of a sudden, miraculously, the thing started to grow.
The help you asked for?
I finally just submitted and went for like business coaching. Before that, I was like, I can figure this out. I got this.
I put out fires. I know how to use the jaws of life. I don't need a fucking business coach.
I played sports. I figured all these things out. I got to the highest, like I can do this.
Yeah.
And it finally came to a point where it was like, I just remember sitting there one day, it was like Saturday at like 9 at night. And I was like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like I was literally like, I wish this would just burn down. And then finally I was like, all right, you're either going to go up or out. So pick and you make
this burns down. I collect the insurance money. I know exactly how to hide arson because I'm a fireman. Like
amazing.
I guarantee you had this whole thing planned in your head. Like if it went down, this is it.
If I'm driving the truck, I'm going really slow and I might go the wrong way.
Exactly. Oops.
So yeah, why this though? But that one we grew it, got it, sold it. When I sold it, we'd moved to the Cayman and I'd always stayed in fitness through consulting, various things. And I just liked it. And when the pandemic came, kind of like everybody, I just took kind of a bit of an inventory of what I was doing. And I had a good gig. Life was good.
What were you doing when you went to the Caymans? What was the full-time gig there?
Still had the gym, actually.
Okay.
So when we moved there, my wife got really sick. So basically, we went to Bali, she'd been on a bunch of painkillers. Things weren't going particularly well. We got there and it was like day 5 and she's like, I don't have any pain. Like I feel better. I was like, okay. By the end of the trip, and at that point I was still like very much in the gym. So when we pulled the plug to go there for 3 weeks, I was like, shit's going to break. Like something's going to go probably really wrong here. But I was like, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
Went there. And then after when we got on the way home, she's like, I think if I move somewhere warm, I can be better. I'll be happier. I'll be able to like move. So came back. She immediately started looking for jobs. Came back to definitely some things that were vastly broken in the business after 3 weeks unplugged. She took a job in Cayman. I didn't even know where it was. I couldn't spell it. I was like, where is this? Is this warm? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
Good.
in.
Yeah.
And like I wrote an email to a bunch of clients. I spelt it wrong. I didn't really I was just like, this is going to be great.
0 fucks given.
No, I was like, we are going.
Yes.
So we had 90 days. We sold everything except for the cabin. And
do you have another owner to watch over, or did you just have a GM or something remote?
This guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Just me. So at that point we were sitting at probably, I don't know, low mid 40s a month.
Okay.
Like, could have figured it enough where it's like, it was functional. Had a couple full-time staff in there. And went and took like, who was going to be the best trainer. It was like, you'll be the GM, which probably in retrospect wasn't
correct. Yeah.
my smartest choice.
Just because you have 60 unbroken butterfly pull-ups doesn't mean you're probably going to run this business well for me.
Yeah, and I didn't set them up for success in any capacity, right? So it's like I own all that. So when we left anyways, we moved away, ran it remotely, figured out how to do all that stuff, grew the business, sold it just because I didn't understand international tax law and got absolutely abused.
Just crushed.
Yeah, that was pretty epic, that tax bill. So then when we went into consulting though, I liked fitness. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I don't know why I stayed with it. There was other industries I started to look at, but it's just like something about it. I enjoyed it.
And that was with the MPE?
Yeah. So I went into consulting. So when I got down there, it was basically like, cool, what are you doing now? I don't know. And you get down on an island and you've got a lot of time. And it's kind of like you read the E-Myth and you're like, cool, I'll make this business run without me. And you get down there and you're working like the 4-hour work week. And I'm like having like an existential crisis of like, now what? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did it. Oh my God. I'm so upset and sad. This is terrible. So yeah, they approached me. They're like, what are you doing? I don't know.
Was that the business coaching you went and got when you first needed it? Got it.
I went through, what was it? Andy Petronic in the Biz way back in the day. Oh shit.
Yes, that is a real way back in the day.
That was like 2011. I went through that for like 2 years. They were great.
Then he went into the world's best boot camp. And do you remember that?
I did not do that, but I remember when John Birch opened it.
Yeah, John,
like,
that
I'm
Birch.
sorry, John, I'm not going to do this.
No, good God.
Yeah, I remember there's a bunch of guys that went in and some guys crushed it. But yeah, so did that. Then I went into NP. They helped me for a couple of years. It was great. And then, they just approached me like, what are you doing now? What do you want to do? And it was cool. I'll help you guys out. And I went from quickly being a part-time coach to managing North America to managing the whole team to then creating all the products and doing all the things until I was burnt like dinner and decided I should probably go do something else.
Fair enough.
So that was kind of how I ended up in this, was pivoted out, did some stuff on my own, looked at buying businesses, couldn't find any of the right ones. Pandemic hit. And then, Kirk and Brandon just approached me about this thing and they said, do you want this? And I looked at it up and down because it was like, if you can fix this, like you can take this over and do the thing, just bring some capital in and do it. And I looked at it and I thought about it really hard. And I was like, this is a big risk. I've done this before. Do I want to do this? Is the upside worth it? And part of me was just like, I wanted just to the challenge of going back in and doing it. And I was like, cool, this will basically be like another business I'm consulting for. The first 3 months are going to be gross.
Sure.
But I'm confident I can do this. And honestly, one of the big reasons I did this when I went on is I met the girl that had been the GM here for 2 years. And just when I met her, sometimes you meet people and you're just like, I like you. You're just cool. You'll be fun to do this with.
Yep.
And she stuck through it for the whole pandemic. And she basically carried the place. She was spending her own money to buy cleaning supplies, doing a bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, this girl's awesome.
Going above and beyond.
Yeah. So I was like, I liked Kirk and Brandon. I loved the model. I really liked Jane, who was running the business. The opportunity for growth here wasn't as good as other models, but I was like, you know what? It's worth it. This will be fun. I'll literally enjoy this. This isn't going to make or break my life either way.
Sure.
Let's take a swing and do it.
When you got in here, what was left on the lease?
That was part of the fun. There was no lease. She hadn't paid for a fair amount of time, so the landlords weren't
overly
happy.
Thrilled. Yeah.
So we took this on. We did look at moving it. The cost of moving a business, especially one at this standard where you're going to go plug it in, is crazy. So even though the lease was bonkers, it was all right, we'll take this on. So this space is 4,300.
Bigger than what, I mean, even when you look at
it's far bigger than required.
Yeah, exactly. Much larger than the average metabolic footprint.
Like you look down there, like Clara, who's our lead trainer, she's a physiotherapist.
Yeah. We're
going to close that off. She's going to open a physio clinic in here so she can run her own thing. The back storage room is like, God, man, it's like 500 square feet of like nothing.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like that back area they have at HQ in South End where they do a lot of the trainer meet, Dev and all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, so here that's what this is. Rent's like $8,500 a month, which is high for this market for what it is. Yeah, so had to sign a new lease. Took on 5 years. I was like, it's fine, we'll do it.
Make you sign a PG, personal guarantee?
Yep. So signed the personal guarantee, took that on. Like looking back when I say the numbers a lot, I'm like, that was probably not my best decision. This had 44 clients, was doing $6,700.
Oh, wow.
Our rent was higher than revenue. We had 44.
And that is, that's extremely underperforming for metabolic. I mean, I've had, and I won't get into it here, but like I've had conversations with Brandon about like, there are some locations that, and the earlier ones that when we were trying to figure things out and we talked some of the numbers, but not like that, not to that degree.
Yeah. I think pre-pandemic, it didn't look like that. Like it was kind of kicking closer to like, 130.
Got it.
Like maybe $20K a month.
Okay.
Like
so this is compounded from the pandemic.
It was making money.
Got it.
Pandemic hit. I think the person running it had been, she wanted to do something else, which is
fair enough.
It's life. It's fair. And it's just a culmination of things. So yeah, that was when we came in. That was January, and that was, like I said, that was why. A big piece was, like I've known Kirk probably since I was 17. We played hockey against each other. We've known each other. We played pro against each other. I played for the Checkers my last year. When we opened the CrossFit gym, I think they opened their first gym it was within months. And we always just kept in touch. And I remember when we grew the gym, we went through all the OPEC stuff with James Fitzgerald, had the piece where we get to the end. It's like, do we stay affiliated with CrossFit? Do we not? Are you a CrossFit gym? Yeah, but not one of those CrossFit gyms.
Oh, yeah.
It's like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so just when I saw what they did, I was like, you guys did what I was thinking about, but I would have never had the balls, known what to do with this. What you did is like really awesome. And so for me, it's like, I just kind of got, I got them, I got the vibe, I get the hockey vibe of the whole thing. So right away, I went for a few workouts. I was like, yes, I'll do this. And it's just fun. I like you guys. So I'd just be fun to be a part of this with you.
And at this point in 2021, you're able to look and be like, okay, Z growth is here. Like it's not just these two guys fucking around anymore. Like it's a serious thing. They will be hitting probably triple digits here in the very near future. I mean, I love it from watching them from in the very beginning, the inception stage of everything and the balls that it took and the shit that they got for leaving the cash cow that was CrossFit at the time. You got the foresight to see something different. It's what I call like a unique belief in fitness. There's no new ingredients. There's just different recipes. Mm-hmm. You're doing thrusters and front squats instead. Like you're doing all this similar stuff I could find in a CrossFit gym. It's just that recipe is so fucking unique that they came up with. And I have not seen a popular like multi-unit model that's copied it. Mm-hmm. And that's like, you look at Orange Theory, instantly there was Eat the Frog, right? In Orange Theory, we can say ripped off berries a little bit, right? Like you can see the similarity in some of those guys swimming in the same pond. I haven't seen anyone do anything like this, like even attempt to rip it off and create a multi-unit model yet. Mm-hmm. That I think speaks to it like where people are like, I don't want to fuck with that. Like that's tough, that's hard, or I'm scared to go up against it. And whatever it is, for these guys to get close to 100 units and there not be a little knockoff, gremlin chasing them like we saw happen when Orange Theory got popular, I think is super impressive.
I think the thing that, first up, I think it's amazing. The one thing that stands out to me about these guys, just having known them for a long time, and I think it's like, I'm obviously going to be biased just from my own background on it, but the things I really like that they were doing, it's like a little thing like locking the door.
Oh yeah.
Is ridiculous. But it reminds me of like when we played hockey, it's like, cool, if you're late, they just lock you out of the room. If you're late, they lock you out of the bus. What it does is immediately, it's like you get rid of people. But the thing is, for a business to do that, it's like you're locking money out, you're locking people out, like you're going to offend people. And I think that's the one thing, especially when you get to like mass, it's easy to do that when you're like small, or if it's just like one or two people, to be like, I don't do some of those things, and you can like kind of wear it. When you start to do that and you run that culture through like multiple locations, because it's hard for like a new trainer, it can be awkward. Oh my God, how do I do this? Can I do these things? Am I allowed to? Like, I think it's the small personal piece that I think when you're around Kirk and Brandon enough, like very smart guys, they're priceless, like they're hilarious because just knowing them for this long, but it's like they're very like, they're willing to do those things to go against the grain when everyone is going one way. And it's the one thing that I'm really impressed with is you can do that with 1 or 2 locations, but to do that, to your point, at mass, and they don't own these locations, you're franchising to these. So you have to be able to like cultivate and create that culture, which is really interesting and unique, because when you look at an Orange Theory or some of these other ones, it's not really the case for a lot of how it goes. It's just like, it's a volume piece. On this, yeah, for sure, there's got to be volume, but there's got to be that other, like the push and the pull with it, which is the one thing that I find that's really hard to replicate at mass, because that's like it's like a secret ingredient where you can't just like find that. You just can't create that. Like, it has to be just part of the thing.
Creating a brand out of service-based businesses where you have to constantly rely on another human to represent your shit is so much different than a product-based brand that can, it's so much different in scale. Scaling humans, like, versus scaling something you put on an assembly line, then every fucking Lululemon shirt is just like that, versus every franchisee is just like that. It's incredibly insane. And going back to your brand thing, I did a presentation for a gym that I was consulting with one time, and I just put up a picture of Kid Rock with the middle finger. He's flicking off the crowd. And I go, what is that? He's like, it's Kid Rock. I'm like, what is that? What is he doing? He's like, he's flicking everyone off. I'm like, what is he saying to them? And they're saying, he's giving them a fuck you. I'm like, no, that's a magnet. That's a come here. If you're a Kid Rock fan, that middle finger does not, I mean, it draws you closer to him. And what they've done by locking the door, right, by having the gritty nature of everything, you know, really seeing what Finley's capable of, and her getting on there and having her fucking, you know, that bout of like, you know, she has like that fitness angst that I love, right? And all of that just draws people closer to it. But too many people are afraid to be polarized. And I believe in 51-49. I want my brand, 51% are down to fuck with it. 49% say I don't want a thing to do with it. That, I think, is the clearest like angle you could take when trying to create a brand.
Yeah, you have to be willing to polarize, right? It's the thing. You can't be everybody's friend. If you are, you're going to be like broke.
Yep.
Like, is what you're going to be. And so just the willingness to do that at that level is really impressive. It's the one thing, like I said, that was the one thing that really attracted me to even like this store with Jane. Jane had like those characteristics right away, where it's like you can't necessarily teach someone that. Some people come in with it. You can cultivate it over time. But a big piece is like, you just have to filter to attract those people. When you find them, then it's like, yeah, cool, that's great. You already have like that piece in you. It's like, well, just like, let's go this way now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, cool, like, let's do it. And people will immediately follow them.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
You've had other business. You have a financial business as well. For what else are you doing? What else have you done? Yeah. What else do you have going on? Because I'm listening to the podcast on the way up, and I'm looking at it. It was like very much a profit. It seems like a profit first type mentality, kind of financial. And then still doing like the gym builder consulting stuff. What else you got going on?
Yeah. So we got this gym about 2 months ago. I took over the one in Greenville as well. So now we've got both of these. Yep. So that's coming together. Continue down that road with other locations. I'm probably like the ass backwards franchise guy, like not going in the front door. It's like things just seem to come and you can.
Well, I mean, why you wait for something to fall out the back and be like, hey, we need a guy to go ahead and grab this one. The Greenville location has incredible, but it's great street frontage. I was just there. Greenville's my favorite fucking hidden city in North Carolina that I fucking love. I think that location has got a ton of potential.
Yeah, that's good. We just moved a GM there from Colorado. So she was actually a client here for like multiple years. Same thing. Like, she's amazing. She's very Southern. She's the perfect for that market, but she'll, like, I always say to people, I'm like, she's very Southern. She's very sweet, but she'll cut you. Like, she's not afraid.
Yeah.
So she's awesome. So we got those 2 gyms. Other than that, yeah, it's consulting. I've been consulting for years.
Yeah.
So I still got a handful of people. Most of the folks I have at this point have 2 locations, 3 locations. One guy's got 4 and he's acquiring more.
Great.
So I've just started to help people kind of at that next level. I'm not like the best beginner coach for things. Like, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
So talking about polarizing, if you come in, it's like, cool. If you're below about 25K a month, I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can like,
you put on a blindfold, later. Just slip and trip over your own day. You're going to figure this out.
I'm just not your guy. Like, I can't do that with you. So yeah, I got consulting with those guys. Other than that, recently built a piece of software. So just going back into gyms. So when I worked at NP, we built a couple pieces of software, which was fun. So I kind of got my finger into that a little bit.
What's the software
process? So here for these gyms, it's one of the things, as soon as we had the one location, Jane's pretty OCD. So I would be like, here's the process. I need you to do these things. So if a trial buyer comes in, put the name in here, do this, do that. And she was like, okay. I was like, great. Like, and immediately results happened. Like, she's very good. When we went to the other location, not Marley, just when we started to move into that one, I just started to find like, oh man, I'm running into like personal limitations with this. I don't want to log into 2 mind body accounts. I can't chase these things. I'm not there to do this. So immediately what we did is we just plugged it into the back end of the API in MindBody. Cool. Every trial buyer appears on the sheet. There's a few manual pieces. If anybody buys something that's not in there, that tracks that. So now you can see like number of leads you have, the number of new clients.
So it's like is it CRM essentially?
It's not a CRM because there's no emails. Basically, picture it like a dashboard. If you're going to log in and you want to see what's going on,
kind of your pipeline, we're there in the buying journey.
Yeah, and you're like, cool, let's see for the month. How much money have we made? You just log into this. You're not going to anything. You're not looking at your bank account. It's literally pulling all of the data right out of the server. How many leads? How many new clients? How many have you lost? What's your conversion percentage? So if you look at it, you're just like, great. Well, retention, is that a problem? Is conversion a problem or is leads? Retention, great. Then your team knows. You just go and you tell them, you're like, cool, here's where you are, here's the standard, here's how to fix it, here's the next 3 steps.
Is this something you're currently licensing out and is it public for purchase?
Right now we've got it in both of these locations. We've got a few other people in there. We're testing it out and we're going to add some more features to it so we can automate things like late cancel, no-show fees. Sure. Just especially in a market like this, right? Like the biggest thing I find for like these kind of gyms is like you have to have the clients winning, like they have to be getting results, but you have to have your team winning. And for like a micro gym like these ones, if you can't create like careers for your people where they're going to stick, like you're screwed. So if you're having to pay everybody to do everything, like a desk attendant for like this amount, you want to be giving that to like your head coach. You want to be giving that to your GM so they can make like 50, 60, 70. So this is basically a piece where it's like make their job easier, but also you can keep like your overall labor costs down, but you can push it into your few key people. Because that's where you're going to get the longevity in these things. You can't scale these if you're being like a cheap fucker, and you can't scale them if you have like 19 people to do 19 little tasks. So that's really where this comes in, is like, how do you hub this? Because especially once you get like at one, there's not a lot of leverage in one, but if you had 2 and you had a third, the cost savings in what you're doing now becomes exponential.
Yes.
And this is where like, okay, cool. It's like you've built a flywheel.
You could have one remote client journey manager, whatever, kind of overseeing multiple clubs at once. You don't have to have one person on site. Before this podcast, before I drove up here, I had a podcast. His name was John Briggs. He owns Insight Tax. He wrote a book, Profit First from Microgyms. Mm-hmm. Me and him are talking. I've got a fascination with an upcoming franchise called Iron 24. It's an HVLP model. It's the first and only one that I know of that is 100% staffless. There's not a human in the building except for a cleaning crew that comes in at night. And when I sit here and I'm like, okay, I still daydream one day, reopening another gym again, owning a gym again. And if I did though, I'm like, okay, commercial real estate, there's nothing I can do about that. That it is what it is. It's going up. It's just, that is a cost that I cannot negotiate down. If I get something cheap, I'm not going to like where it's at, and so on and so forth. So my next biggest nut, well, hopefully my highest nut is going to be HR. So if these are my 2 nuts, HR and rent, how I can only lower one of them.
Yep. So
how do I make my entity people less, not people void, like not gone, but less humans? Yes. And like I again, with tech and with things like that, it's, do you think we're going to get to the point where these memberships are e-com? Because back in the day, I mean, again, we had to sell people on $150 to $200 a month memberships because everyone's price point adjustment was at $40 a month for the Globo Gym. I think we're getting close to the day where it's like $150 to $200. It's just what's understood. And we'll be able to e-com that. And this idea of sales for your gym, it becomes more lead nurture, something you can do remote. Connecting with someone, selling them on the thing, they have a great first class. I just taking you, which sucks because everyone listening to this, it's a coach. It's like, I'm not trying to get your job out of there and get you out, but I find like this location has a limit of how much money it can make Jane or anybody. Yep. She can make more money if there's less people working. Yep. But if she doesn't want to do all that meaningless admin bullshit stuff that in 2022, 2023, technology can help leverage so much of that.
That's your job, right? Make it easier for other people to win. And to your point, that's the same with clients. The more impediments you put in their way from them to be like, know what you do, get started and actually get on the floor, the more you're going to lose them in today's day and age. You have to make it as frictionless as possible, but still find the key connection points where they're going to make it like a lay down, like it's an obvious thing. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like to your point, like in the old days, it was like, go to the website, top right corner, consult request, put it in the email. I hope they email me back. Yeah. And 3 days later, they might. When we took over this one, I literally trolled every gym in the thing. I put them all in. I think I put in like 11 of them. That's how a bunch of people are still selling, right? And it's like out of the 11, I think I got 3 responses. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So to your point, it's like that's sales. Like I think even in this market, it's the one thing I've noticed with coming back in here where I was chatting with Brandon today a little bit, but it's like when people opt in, that is part of the thing. It's like, how do you make it as frictionless as possible on the website? Because when people come in, we've learned 5 days for $5 on the trial. For us right now, the average person that converts comes in 2.3 times.
Yeah.
And at that point, even for the team, we've done a bunch of training with them. It's like, your job isn't to sell them anything. Your
over
job
how many?
is to
I'm
let
curious
them
of
buy.
this. Over how many days does it take for them to get to 2? So but I mean, by which day have they hit the second visit? Is it day
I
one?
haven't tracked that piece.
Got it.
For us, what we'll do is for the 5 days, it'll start on the first day. So say you purchased this morning, you attended today, you've got 5 days. So it'd be whatever that is, like Wednesday.
Do you guys like recommend like, hey, take a day off, rest, whatever, or like because you hit momentum today, we want you to come back and get anaerobic because you don't want them to see 2 momentums in a week, right? You want to show them at least one other class style.
Team's great. They got like a little intake form. They bring people in. They go through, and that's like the key thing for these guys is before the person leaves, it's like, make sure, are they scheduled for the next class?
Sure, do not let them leave the fucking building without having the next class scheduled.
Yeah, and based on that, it's like they use like, guys here are awesome. They do a really good job. So it's like, oh, cool. Like so-and-so is teaching this class. He's great. Based on your schedule of wanting to come in the morning, do you want to come in on Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday, alternate close, easy. They come in, they go, great. He's going to be in there. It's going to be a day like this. Be prepared for this. That's awesome. Do you have any questions, anything else? No. Great. He'll help you.
Yeah.
He comes in for that day. We've got notes because it pushes from our system right into mind body. If Heath comes in, he looks, he's like, oh, hey, Stu, I can see your goals are this, this, and this. That's awesome. You hit a class with Clara. She's great, isn't she? Cool. What did you love the most about it so far? Awesome. Do you have any questions? No. Cool. Do you need anything to get started? No. Great. Let's go introduce you to Kenny.
Yeah.
Great. At this point, the people just come and they're like, so like, can I buy something?
Yeah.
And the team, like, they just know after the second or third visit, it's like, hey, you've come in this times. Based on that, it looks like this is working for you. What were you thinking you wanted to do? Did you want to do this or this?
Yeah.
And it's just a question. Like, you're not selling anything. You're just making it easy.
Isn't it amazing? Like, people fear sales. I'm like, if you just work to get all the objections out of the way beforehand, like someone calls like, awesome. So are you looking to join a gym? Like something as easy as that. Yes. Great. Do you currently belong to a gym now? Like, am I going to find out at the closing that you still have 4 months left on your Orange Theory fucking membership, right? Like, ask all the obvious questions that you kick yourself in the dick on when you don't, and it happened. Now the sale walked out the door. Get all the potential objections out of the way early on, so you know what you're dealing with. You'll get tire kickers, you'll get people just shopping around, whatever. But at least you set your expectations up, right? It's interesting, talking about the process of like kind of going from lead nurture to getting people in here and asking you about the classes on there, because you guys have these 3 unique class styles: momentum, anaerobic, and durability. And I know I had 3 as well, right? This is something I stole from MAD. I stole from Orange Theory with their race pace, base pace, and a lot. It's like, okay, 3 different flavors, not 3 different class types. Mm-hmm. And that is so incredible, because I was like, oh man, I'm doing something just like you did at Urban Movement or just like MADabolic does. I have 3 different classes. I'm like, no. That's not the same fucking thing. I'm like, it's all the same class, homie. It's just a different style of the same genre, slightly different recipe, but not so deviated enough that one person's like, oh, I hate that. I'm not going on that day. Because in your consulting, do you see people wanting to add variety to the class schedule? And the variety gets there's so many degrees of difference between that and the core thing that it becomes, get that pocket knife kind of analogy. Or Swiss Army knife analogy. Just got too much shit going on. Yeah. How do you talk to owners about that who want to spice up their shit and they want to create multiple different classes?
So I find there's a key piece with this. And I'll go back to like how I did this in my own gym, and then I'll answer that question. So like for us, when we got stuck at the 10 to 12, if you came in and you said, this would be really nice, I was like, great, it's starting next week. And we'd have like 19 things going on, right? And all of them were dog shit. No one could do it well. No one would attend, and nothing worked. Common thing I find, so like, I'll just use like the 25K hitch as an example. So once people get into that range, they usually start to have the thing of like, I thought I would make more. I think I need another one, or I need all of these other product lines. Sure. And you come in and it's like, how many do you have now? 5. Great, let's shoot 3 in the head. Yep. And let's have your 2. I'll make $3,000 less. Correct. And now we have 1 sales funnel. And then 3 months later, it's like, I'm making 27 and this is boring. I think we need more products again. It's like, no, it's working. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what I find for a lot of these guys. It's like, it's just too many offers at the start, and you're trying to do too many things for too many people. Going back to the Kirk and Brandon of locking the door, it's like, be willing to turn away like 10 to 15% of it, because all you've done is you've opened the door to actually go and make another 50. And as soon as you do that, then to your point, for a lot of these guys, I find, cool, at that point, like figure out what your market needs and then rebrand it, then make it look better. If you're making like 20 or 25,000 and you're trying to like rebrand the shit out of it, it's like,
that's not your problem.
No, focus on basic operations, basic numbers, because if I go to your website, your link probably doesn't work. Your automation doesn't work. No one's phoning me back. You have enough leads. You just aren't very good at this.
Yeah.
Like just be better at the basic stuff. Don't worry about the shiny things because you're not that good.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like, great, here's a Lamborghini, but you can't drive. Like just stay between the lines for a bit.
Yeah.
And then drive a little faster. And it's like, cool, upgrade your car. So that's kind of what I find for a lot of these guys with consulting. It's like, once they get from like 25 to 35, then I usually find for a lot of them, it's like, I have all this dead space. I need a kids program. And it's like, what's your goal? And it's like, I want another location. You don't need a kids program. You need another like lead source. All you need is like this many more leads because you're not losing like an extra 5 clients because you have a bigger thing. Get 10 more leads a month and you're going to get there in 6 months. Oh, well, it's easy. Yeah. Just do that.
I use apparel often. I went and did good colleagues of mine and buddies, Joey and Drew, a fuel hunt. So I go down to Philly and I'd shoot the podcast, shoot a long form podcast with them. And we talk about direct to consumer apparel got huge during COVID, right? And all these little brands that are popping up and people showed up with 48 SKUs on day one, right? And then you look at Rogue, and I only thought of that because there was a guy here in the lobby wearing the classic Rogue t-shirt, just says Rogue across. It's their number one selling shirt. It's never changed, just different colors come out. And that's how I think about what you guys have with the 3 class styles. It's the same fucking shirt, it's just different colors. Yeah. And that's what I tell people, like, if you think there's a need for another class type, you really got to analyze, number one, is that a need or are you kind of getting bored? Or
who's this for?
Correct. Good business is boring. It's doing the same thing over and over and over again, and improving it by 3% could have a 3x return. But that's not as fun as like, oh, I'm going to come up with this whole new program because I went and took a kettlebell cert last weekend, and now I'm just fucking jerking off the kettlebell ideas for all. Like,
Are you here to entertain yourself, or are you here to make people better, make your team better, make money? You choose.
100%. You in that podcast I was listening to you on, you brought up a topic I've only heard myself and the prison resources that I went to really study it, but it's operational capacity. Yeah. It's my favorite topic in this game. And when I really got into commercial real estate in Charlotte I knew I was going to buy a building. That's when I started realizing, like, holy shit, we're not running gyms. We're running airlines. We're running event spaces. We have X amount of seats in a day. Yep. And it's just about what is your utilization rate? Yes. How many fucking people do you get in there? Because there is nothing worse in selling a new client. New client comes in, tries out that first day of 5 classes for $5. They come into a class, 3 other people in class. In their head, this was going to be, they saw the promo videos, they saw the Instagram reels, it was hype as fuck, there were people everywhere, and now they're literally, like, there were more people in their apartment complex elevator coming down that morning than there is in your fucking group class. Yes. It's the worst. But like, operational capacity is one of those things where 12 classes on your schedule in the first year of being open, probably excessive. Like, let's boil it down, pack more. Do you like going to a bar with 2 fucking random people in it? Or do you like going somewhere that's a little packed, but the music's good and it's got good energy and good vibes? And I was just so impressed. I did so much of my research when I was studying operational capacity. There's so many good articles on prisons and the capacity of inmates in certain public areas and stuff like that, and the square footage. And when I did Globo Gym, we had an idea kind of how much the average person would take up. And that's a game that's insane to me because you don't know what they're doing. Yes. Whereas in here, you know exactly where they're going to stand. You know exactly where they're going to go next. When you think of operational capacity, back when you were a CrossFit gym, which probably had minimal. It was probably chickens running around with their head cut off. You had no fucking clue. Someone would grab their box and their kettlebell and set up closest to the rower and that whole shit. And then you look at this. Like, how does that relate now to when you consult with people who don't have this level of op cap that you guys do?
Yeah, you know, funny story. When we had the CrossFit gym, it was probably 2012. I had an accountant come in. That was the year when we doubled the business from like, I don't know, it was like 10K to like 22K a month. She came in and I was the classic, like, we need another location. And she looks at me, she's like, well, when is this one going to be full? I was like, ouch. What do you mean? I was like, I don't understand. And like, my brain was broken. And then she looks at me, she goes, you know, like a hotel, if it has 100 rooms, if only 50 are full, you're half full. How many rooms do you have? And I was like, I don't even know how I'd figure that out. She's like, well, how many classes do you have? How many spots? And I was like, oh my God, this is so simple. Yeah. But it's like, I was broken for my brain. To your point, after she said that to me, I ended up figuring out the math. So that gym, we ended up getting it in one location. The actual floor space was 1,200. We ran 15-person classes. We got that up to 210 people. Because back in the day, that was, I think I went to CrossFit LA or somewhere. They had like the blue tape on the floor. Yeah. So it's like, you stand here, it goes this, it gets programmed this way. But I think it's the one thing that I end up going back in. Because as soon as you look at a lot of these models for the guys that do like 25K, 35K, 45K, their biggest problem is like attracting and keeping the staff. And it always leads back to operational capacity because they're offering so many classes. They're paying so many people part-time wages. They don't know what they have to charge to actually go and pay someone like 60 or 70 grand a year to keep them.
Sure.
But the thing that always comes back to them is like, great, how much are you making per hour? I don't know. Yeah. Let's figure it out. Yeah. Well, your dollars per hour need to be about like, say 250, it needs to be 300. Have you ever been to a spin class? You ever been to like, what's the thing? I'm like, they make 1,200 an hour, dude.
Soul Cycle, yeah. 50 bikes in 400 to 500 square feet, and they are spaced out. The average, so it's about 35 square feet per person, which is the same as a yoga studio. So 35 to 45 square feet for yoga. If a boot camp model, you're looking around maybe 50, and then like Burn Boot Camp. And then with MAD, I generally call them like a bells and balls model. As long as there's not a barbell involved, and especially if it's station-based, get away with 75 square feet or less. And then CrossFit's 125. And I literally, I used to shoot all these vlogs back in the day, and I took the painter's tape and I put the barbell there and the rower and the equipment. I'm like, look how much fucking square footage this is. And I became obsessed with operational capacity. I was a really successful CrossFit gym, and I just broke it. I got rid of the pull-up rig because it didn't fit my operational capacity. And I hung gymnastics rings from the ceiling. I looked at spin. I looked at yoga. I said, why do they make more money than me? Because it's an in-place model. Yeah. They don't move around. So I went ahead. Pre-COVID, we had this logo that looked like a broken box because that was like my whole branding thing, getting rid of CrossFit. We had these squares on the ground, vinyled with a number. So it was a pick a spot, just like a spin studio, just like you pick your bike. I pay, I've had MindBody for 10 years. I paid for their whatever uber expensive FitMetrics version. They pick that spot. It's registered for. It's good to go. And now all their equipment is right fucking there. They never leave the goddamn spot. And coaches loved it, the organization. And then
it's easier.
Every CrossFit affiliate owner that I know that I'm working with, they're like, you're a fucking idiot. That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. COVID hits. And I'm like, yeah. How do you like me now, fuckers? Because everyone had to do it in COVID, just out of fucking protocol.
That's just it, right? If you can control the experience and you engineer it, it's the one thing. It's like MAD is literally like a conveyor belt. There's conveyor belts. But if you think of your whole business, people don't have to move in a conveyor belt. You just have to understand, like, how do they come in? Where do they move? Yes. So like the gym in Greenville, it's got the pony wall. You move people this way. You come in here, we'll put that wall. Why? Well, we want to force people over here. The retail used to be over on that side. We put it here. Why? Because people sit over here.
Yes, that's where they hang out.
Like, it's common sense, but it's not common, right? Sure. It's the same with those gyms. So to your point, like, we just had a gym that did this. They had 16 people in the class. We went through because they wanted to pay people more. We ran the math, and it was like, if you can do 22 per people in the class, if we charge this, you can now pay people this. Do you think you can do that? I don't know. We looked at the floor plan. They're like, go ask your coaches if they would like to make more money and ask them how they would do 22. And the guy's like, oh, we'll move this here. We'll do this. We'll do this. The team all of a sudden just created the solutions. And it's like, great. How do you systematize this so it's the same? Awesome. What did they start doing? That's the CrossFit model. Before people come in, they're actually setting up the one demo station for the workout that way. So that then when people come in, it's like, cool, set your stuff up like this. Don't go there. Don't go do this. Like, no, Sally, we're not, literally it just looks like this. And what they're finding is now people are paying more attention to the demos. People are now getting better results. Everything's easier. They're like literally making, because if people are paying like say $15 a session more, if you're running at 65% full, well, if you're going from that many more people, 6 more people, great, you're making $70 an hour more. Like, you've just won the game. Everybody's happy. That's a win-win-win.
At CrossFit Gym, and he's bragging. He's like, I had 250 members. He's like, I had 250. I think I got like 190 to sign up for the Open. Mm-hmm. I'm like, awesome. Like, how did the Open go for you? He goes, oh, it was so much fun. Whatever. I'm like, send me some videos. Send me some photos. So he sends me, of the events. But he's complaining about he's not able to fit enough people in per class, like all this stuff. And I'm like, do you see how you set everything up for the CrossFit Open, like a competition? That was ideal operational capacity. You had the barbells laid out here. I'm like, imagine if you just did that for every single class, and it just light bulb clicked. Yep. I'm like, get rid of that 7-foot barbell. You can get a 5-foot barbell, can hold 350 pounds. It's plenty fun. Like, there's a ton of opportunities you can go with now. And I think post-COVID, a lot of equipment manufacturers are going to start fucking around with smaller Like, it is obnoxious. A barbell does not need to be 7 feet long for group fitness. Pull-up rigs do not need to, like, I look at a pull-up rig like I look at my mom's Nokia cell phone from fucking 94. I'm just like, how are we still using this monstrosity of metal to do this? It makes zero fucking sense. But it's crazy. You think about operational capacity, and I think it's because I think I respect operational capacity because it forces people to get out of vanity metrics, how much money you make, the what do you bench and fucking whatever. And it makes you get into ARPC, like average revenue per person per class. ARC, average revenue per class. Like, you create a P&L of every class. Yes. And if I see Sally's P&L of every one of her fucking classes is significantly lower than all my other coaches. Is it the time slot? Is it Sally? What's going on there? It's worth investigating, but at least I have the data set that I can now investigate. And that going to your part, like that's the thing I love about MindBody. MindBody is one of the few member management softwares that showed a utilization rate. It showed daily and it showed weekly, and is one of my favorite stats, period. Because I only have so many seats to sell. That's it. Your limitation, like, man, I wish, what's my biggest limitation? Well, I mean, your credit card processor will allow you to charge 1 million credit cards a month if you wanted to. But with this size space and the classes you have and this and reverse engineer numbers, you're going to be stuck at 250. Mm-hmm. Unless we do this, and this. But it's the breakup with the programming. It's like the romanticism with Stu, I want to have a chipper with 17 different movements in it. I want to do the 12 days of Christmas workout every other Tuesday. And I'm like, bro, listen, you can do that shit or you can make money. That's your option.
Well, that's just what it comes down to, right? It's like you can feed your passion or you can build something that actually works. And if you build something that works, you can go chase your passion all you want.
100%.
But you can't put the first thing before it or put like your need for what you want above that. And especially when you get to a business that's at a little bit bigger level, like you're just going to have to make some choices. And if you want to just chase your emotions on that, it's like just build a bigger business and then go do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. And going to the OpCap thing and the revenue per class, I've got guys that argue like, I'm not getting rid of a 7-foot barbell. I'm like, cool. Then we just need to be charging $335 a month. Mm-hmm. Like I can make the numbers work for you. Based on only having 9 people per class and all that other shit, the price just has to go up. It's an inverse relationship here, man. We can't have it both ways. And it's tough, but I just released that video this week. I went and shot film with Brandon, and he's fucking around with Climber, right?
Yeah, we got him in here.
Oh, you have some in here too?
We got 4 in here. We got 4 in Greenville. So
have you gotten to play with it?
They used them in the workout yesterday.
What do you think?
I didn't personally use them. I did chat with the team, and I got a bunch of feedback from clients. Clients were really happy.
Really?
They were pretty pumped. They liked getting something new, novelty, different. They were hard. There was a couple like memes. There's messages. Jane showed me some emails put in of like people making jokes of like, oh my God, these are ridiculously hard. Like,
they're so fucking hard.
The team liked them. They all had really good feedback. They found people like took them on. They picked it up. They could figure out what to do right away. So there wasn't a lot of like, great, like a rower's like, people are like, it's a rower, but rowers are kind of technical.
Yes.
But like this was more like, it was kind of easy. So feedback at this point from everybody has been really strong, really solid, which for going back to operational capacity, if we look at particularly the gym in Greenville, it's a small floor space. Yep. It's capped at 20. If you can get those in there with like 1 or 2 small tweaks, that goes to 25. You increase that by 25%, that gym's now going to do like $10,000 or $12,000 more a month. So like that one small change is actually epic for like both of these locations.
And my biggest thing that I love the most about it is it shows that Brandon and Kirk are not romantic about their programming so much because they enjoy primal movement, the bear crawls. They like all that shit. But fuck, dude, that does not sound good to my pocketbook for my bottom line. People having crawling back and forth to 35 feet, that's a lot of wasted space in my opinion.
It's like when you have a CrossFit gym too, right? Like if you start it, the first 100 people, your early adopters, if you tell them to like run around the building and do crazy shit, they'll do it.
Yeah.
Once you get to 150, it's like, once you get to 175, people come in, they're like, my back hurts, I got injuries. Like you've hit a critical mass point where you're attracting new people.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things for these guys, like it's getting more popular. There's more people coming in. When they first opened this with like the black and white and everything, I was like, this looks like Jim Jones. I was like, this is cool. Yeah. How did you do this? I was like, oh my God. But as they get going, it's like, you have to like, seemingly if you're going to go to the masses, you can still keep the DNA the same, but like the flavor is going to have to change a little bit. You have to accommodate it. They're going to get like, especially in some of these gyms, you're going to get more diverse groups coming in, and especially in the smaller cities like this, like there's not as many people that are going to go to like South End in Charlotte or some of these locations in DC that live in these markets. So you're going to have a broader demographic coming in. And if you start to tap into like the 40s, the mid 40s, they come in with a bag of injuries.
Yeah.
I'm a 43-year-old ex-athlete. I got arthritis in my hip. I got various things. Even on the program, I'm like, oh, wow, I've become like the old man. I'm like, really, we're going to be like scaling all this down. Right?
Yeah.
Like, half the goal is like not to get injured for these people.
Yeah. I want to talk a little more industry and zoom out a little bit. So, I paid attention a ton to the inflated IPO of F45 and just kind of watching the shitty franchise practices and stuff that they have. Yep. And watching them eat shit, it's not that I took joy in it, but what I instantly thought of, nobody had talked about Orange Theory at all, right? But Orange Theory quietly did very well, and they've bounced back very strong. And no one's talking about the fact that, Orange Theory, and it looks like Orange Theory is looking to add a different element. They're evolving their model. I was just reading an article on it the other day, but I look at some like F45 and that explosion and all that from the industry, and I'm like, okay. I look at Orange Theory still staying strong there. I see what you guys do, and then auxiliary things. I always love seeing a good WOD brand have to rebrand, like ROMWOD going to pliable and all that. That makes my soul smile. But when you look at the industry as a whole, what are the things in the past 18 months, 24 months that have it caught your attention? Because if you're going to own one of these, you have to be a student of the industry too. You have to constantly be looking around at other shit that's going on. What's caught your eye? What are some things that you've kind of taken notice of, or you're kind of watching from afar, seeing how it works out?
Yeah, I think it was interesting to see how so many people flocked to the online, and they spent so much time, effort trying to go into that. And I thought it was interesting to see different people double down back into these kind of things. And I think that was just the piece, like really meta. It was just interesting to see, because you had so many people oh, brick and mortar is dead. This is the way. And I'm like, I don't know. So I think that was just interesting to see different people that doubled down and literally tried to kill versions of things and spent so much time trying to do the one piece, while other people were this is literally just a bridge and I'm going to keep staying true. And again, for Kirk and Brown, that's one thing I'd give them credit for. I wasn't with them through the pandemic. I just came in at the end, but I thought that was interesting. I'm really curious to see what happens with some of these at-home pieces, the climbers, how that's going to start to integrate. I think that's the biggest piece for me is how are some of these pieces of equipment going to go in there and start to get utilized in the long term, and how people start to go. Because I think there's always going to be a piece in here for folks that are going to come in here 2 days a week and they're going to do a day or two of that at home. I think it's the one thing that's going to forever change the market is you're just not going to have people you are my one and only. It's they're just going to dabble.
I think more businesses need to be like Concept 2. Mm-hmm. Concept 2 has had an analog screen and the most basic shit. It's literally, it's slightly tweaked its design, but it is the most consistent, bomb-proof, best $999 of a product you will ever fucking spend. And I look at Climber. So, I go and I'm filming this stuff with Brandon and we're fucking around with it. And I'm like, this is a fucking tank. This thing is the Apple of this stuff. I'm like, how does it get to Concept 2 level though? Is it, you don't want to value engineer it and make it cheap, but it's got to be something that's accessible. Cause I would say, I don't know what the numbers are. I would argue Concept 2 is probably just in as many homes as Peloton. Mm-hmm. I'd say at least I'm pretty close in that argument. I'm in the ballpark of it. I'd love to see the different financial statements of those two companies and see really what does that look like. I remember speaking at an event and the Concept 2, she set up a marketing booth there. I'm like, we're drinking at the bar. I'm like, why are you here? You guys don't have to advertise always. She goes, I know, my job's fucking awesome. She's like, we hit our sales goals because she makes her bonus on the sales every quarter. And I just get to come here and I stop and get to talk with owners and I get drunk. She's like, it's the best. Mm. And it's because you just created a consistent product. You never deviated. You didn't try to get sexy with it. Yes. I think MADabolic has embodied a lot of that Concept 2 element as well.
Yeah. I think that goes back to before when you asked about the different product lines and different things. It's know what you are, do it really well. You can then deviate, but it's just, you don't have to go that far off the rails with this stuff. It's just stay in your lane a little bit.
Are you familiar with Blink? Blink's it's an HVLP model, a lot of locations in the Northeast. Blink now is doing what they call gymnosis. Mm. If you're unmotivated to go to the gym, you can sign up for a free hypnosis session. It's in person in their flagship New York locations, and it's virtual elsewhere. So I've got mine next week. So I'm going to go on there and I'm going to record the whole fucking thing. But they will do a hypnosis, and essentially their landing pages, we're going to help you not hate the gym. And it's just that's where we're at now. Their client acquisition model now is hypnosis. I was like, I'm ready. I got the popcorn. I'm ready to see how this goes. It'll either fall flat on its face, and if you got 2 legit certified hypnotherapists, they're on the, I'm just like, who's the guy who raised his hand in the fucking board meeting at Blink? It was like, I got an idea. And they're like, yes, Johnson? I'm like, God damn, that's a good idea. Like, hypnotize them? Fuck yeah. We'll just fucking wave a candy bar in front of these fatties' faces and just get that, I was like, that sounds like something Planet Fitness would be like, we'll do that tomorrow if that works. Show me a proof of concept of it. Hypnotize the fuck out of anybody. I don't give a shit. I was really impressed by that. I was like, holy shit. You have roots in CrossFit. Do you still pay attention to that, where that world is going at all?
I do by default, just because I've got some clients. So I've got a guy in Philly who's got multiple locations, so he's very entrenched in it. He's scaled out quite large. So I do by default.
Where do you see that going? Like my biggest issue is it's a bipolar brand.
Yes.
CrossFit, the fitness methodology, cannot also be CrossFit, the elite sport, professional sport. It's like there's MMA in the UFC, there's football in the, like, where do you see that needing to go? If they got to call you and they're like, listen, Evan, you're CEO. The other guy quit. Like, I don't know, it's like been 6 C-suite executives have joined the company and left in the past 12 months. Like,
I don't know what the North Star is. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. I think that's the biggest thing for me at this point. Like, for me, if I just looked at it, I'd be like, cool, let's simplify this. Let's make this scalable. Let's make operators better. Let's make this actually make money. So I would go away from the games piece. You're either an event company or you're going to be like something at scale. You can do both, but you can't do it in that 2 different domains, in my opinion. So I'd be more looking at, like, I'm a brick and mortar guy. I like the operation piece of it. So for me, I'm obviously going to default to that side. I don't know how many actual locations they have now, and I don't know how profitable they are. I don't even know if that's worth it for them at this point. It might be better just to be like, we're just an event thing.
Yeah.
And just like kill the other thing off and figure out something, like sell the assets of that license to somebody else that wants to like take that burden and just like go be an event company and make your money.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say, right? Like it's evolved so much, and there's so much baggage in history that to turn that into something different or otherwise is it's incredibly challenging. It's
a big ship to rebrand and to repivot. It is. I think the games would be an easier pivot. You got to get a title, like a real title sponsor in there. You got to rebrand. You got to rename it. We got to become a legit sport to the ESPN Ocho level of real sports kind of scenario. Yeah. And then you have to sever that whole thing, because every CrossFit gym right now is kind of just like a fantasy playground for people who still think that's a reality for them. Like, oh, I still have a shot at going to regionals. But like, bro, you work at Bank of America 9 to 5. There's an 18-year-old kid who can outdo everything you do right now, who's literally training 9 to 5. And you think you have a chance? Like, I go play pickup basketball. I would never once think I have even a shot at even the 3-on-3 league. Like, because it's a real sport. And I see the separation between what I do and that. And that's, I think, the thing that just did not get, there wasn't enough separation of that.
I remember when, so I made a living as a professional athlete for 7 years. And it was interesting because when you went into the CrossFit world, like for me, it still like scratched the itch. It was when I went to Phoenix, James Fitzgerald was hosting, I don't remember what he was hosting. It was like a programming seminar or something. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. And James at one point goes, you're not a professional athlete if you have another job. You're a professional athlete if that's what you do for a living and you get paid. And I remember I sat there and I was like, that was the best thing I've heard in like 7 years. Because as someone who, like, that was literally all I did. You ate, slept, breathed, you trained. Everything was for like optimal performance. Can I show up in the best possible state, nothing in my brain, and so that I can show up and I can win? Nothing else. And I think that's the one thing when it comes down to it, is just recognizing, like, is it this passion or are you actually a professional? What are you doing? What's at stake for this? And that's the thing where when it comes down to it, it's like, well, you're not going to pay your bills with like a sponsorship or a competition. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You just have to have a little bit of context and perspective and like put a little bit of onus into something else. Yep. Or if that's what you really want to do, go get a job that enables you to like double down, triple down on that. Don't try and do both shitty.
Sure.
Like, just do one well.
Yeah, 100%. It's like CrossFit gyms got confused with bowling alleys. You and me can be going and be drunk and fucking throwing bowling balls down the lane and right next to a legit professional bowling team. And we're essentially doing the same thing. It's very clear that we're not professionals. And that's how like CrossFit gyms became. Like they became like this place where like there's just Sally trying to lose 40 pounds. And then there's some kid who literally has this gym bag with 6 different pairs of weightlifting shoes. And he's like, I mean, this kid looks like he's training for the thing. And that's like, it looked like a bowling alley to me. I just walk in these CrossFit gyms. I'm like, I can't tell who's here just to have fun and lose weight so they can drink some craft beer on the weekends and feel better about themselves and get some results, and who's here chasing the pipeline dream. Like, in that blend, it just creates subcultures and cliques and headaches and it was like the poison that most CrossFits were inadvertently swallowed, and they didn't know any better. You know, let's bring it back to this. So you got this location now. What kind of financial goals do you like? What do you believe this location can do? Like, what are your like aspirations for it?
Just based on the numbers, like the last gym we had was in a similar size market. So like they'll often refer this as like a C market. So it's a smaller market. And when we had the one in Canada, we got it up to 300 clients. That was with 2 basic product lines though. This one with having 1, I think hitting 300. This demographic, the number of people here, the number of people who can afford this in the vicinity, I think 300 is going to be very tough.
Yeah.
I see this one as being like full in terms of auto pays between 225 to 250. It's a maintenance business. Yep. If we can stretch it above, awesome. I think we're going to have to spend a lot of money and a lot of effort to try and get it to 275 and then to maintain it. I don't know if the juice would be worth the squeeze. I think you're better just to be like 225 to 250 in there. Location like this, based on ACV and everything else, we're going to be sitting somewhere between probably like 37 and 40, which creates a nice career for Jane. It creates a good business for us. Clients are great. It'll create a secondary position for a full-time person here, which is awesome. I think Greenville's the same market. It's the same size. I think Greenville could actually go slightly higher just based on like starting to see how people move through that business. And after visiting that market, I think that one could stretch up to closer to 275. And I don't think just because the client acquisition is different there, it's a different market than here and it's a different consumer. So I do believe that one run really well, could hit 275, potentially 300. And the numbers just kind of scale up on that one from there. So it's obviously going to hit closer to like 42, 45.
So let's call Charlotte, like a tier 2. This is a tier 3 market, and a tier 2, even just tier 1, definitely. But having multiple locations in the city helps for brand awareness, things like that. Do you think Asheville is one that you would, if the real estate is right, you would pop open a second one once you're at adequate capacity and utilization here? Or is it like Asheville's just one of those places where one and done?
I think the market could sustain it, but I think then it gets into, I don't think it would be a true, like, you're not going to open up another one in this market currently, in my opinion, and have it hit 225 and have this one hit 225. If you open up another one in this market, it's small enough, you're probably going to cannibalize out like 30 to 40% of your people. If you move it far enough in here, that's the thing. You're going to have to pay another franchise fee. You're going to have to go into like different things. In a market this small, for me, I wouldn't. We've been looking at it, talked with the team here. I think the play in the smaller market is like, for something like this, buy a property somewhere. I think you double down. I think you could look at acquiring a different fitness model. You could stick something else in there, or you do something else. I'm an operations guy, so for me, that wouldn't be a big stretch. You could go and give me a yoga studio, and I'm not too stressed about it if it's the right thing with the right person. I think the play on these ones with being this close, with being like 60 miles away, is you look at a building, you look at a secondary. The thing that I'm finding in this is, even with having 2 this close, there is some benefit of scale. We've had like Claire, our lead trainer, went down there for a boxing seminar. Marley's come up, Jane's went up. Like, people are going back and forth. One of our folks here is doing a bunch of work on the back end for that gym. She's gonna start to take over some of the social media stuff. So I think for them, they like having it close enough where they can lean on each other. Eventually, if you look at an exit or something like that, you could bundle these together quite easily if they're both at that. And I think that's more the play with these. If you can acquire a third one, you open up something closer in this region, I think that's a solid play. But just 2 in the same town for either of these right now, I'd be a hard sale to do that right now. I just don't see it. I can't make the math work for what it would do.
Yeah, this market seems more like a portfolio market to me. You'd own a MADabolic, if you own a CrossFit, like I would try to add to a portfolio. Yes. And that's, I've had the privilege of obviously working with a bunch of these microgym owners that have got a successful first location, and they see my content on Mad and they get in contact with them. And my biggest thing is, I'm like, who's the one player right now, if they came into your market, would scare you? And for most of them, they already have an F45, they already have an Orange Theory. They start seeing Mad, they travel to their nearest one. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that fucked me up if it would show up. I'm like, then franchise it. Like, you be the guy, right? Fucking, if you've got the Taco Bell, if you have a McDonald's, franchising a Burger King is probably not the best play. Franchising a KFC or a Taco Bell, something opposite end of the market. Where do you see that? Like, anyone who's listening to this that currently owns a microgym that is successful and they're looking for the next thing, do they open and try to have lightning strike twice with their own mom and pop idea? Or do they reach out to a company like MADabolic or a franchise that's got a playbook? Because most gym owners, after after working your dick off to make your own model that didn't come with systems, it didn't come with a blueprint, make it work, you step back and you're like, that was awesome. I'd like to do more fitness, but damn, I don't know if I've got it in me to do it another, 6, 7 years of doing this whole thing over again.
Yeah, I agree. I think at the end of the day, for a lot of folks, you just have to know yourself a little bit. And I've said this a few times, what's your goal? What are you doing this for? I think a piece then just comes down to your skill set. Some people are really creative. They're great at starting things. Some people are good at following instructions. If you're I'm a creative, I love to do all of these things, and you come into a franchise and you're gonna be they should all be done differently the way I want to do them. It's
not a good fit.
You should go do something else. That's fine. I think if you've got something, to your point, where it's I've got a good market, I've got this thing, I love this works. What else would work? The biggest thing, because I've had a couple guys that have multiple locations and they've got Exponential might be selling some things, or they have the things to go into. And the one guy in particular, I chatted with him. I was so you're looking at these Pilates studios, you can get them for a good rate. I was do you like Pilates? Do you like dealing with Pilates instructors? Do you have someone that does? And he's no, but the opportunity is great. And I was you're going to want to burn this down. You know that, right? And he was and he thought about it. He went and I was go take a couple classes and then let me know. Cause do you have an operational person that can take this on? And this guy had a couple gyms, super smart dude. He comes back and he's no. I'm cool. Then I would probably run away from that.
Yeah.
And for him, he started to go and acquire more CrossFits. If someone comes in and they have a successful business and they want to do something else, I'd strongly encourage them to look at this. The biggest thing, it's for us, if we're going to hire someone coming in, go take a few classes. Do you like this? Do you think this is a thing? Because I think that's one of the things with fitness. You can't just if you're an investor coming into these, I run these remotely. I think I've been to this one. This is day 10 in 18 months. I'm not here a lot, but I believe in the thing. I believe in the people. I spend time with it. And if you don't do that and you're just you're just looking for a paycheck for something on it, you're not going to be the right guy. Yeah. You have to have something there. There has to be something with it. Unless you've come to the point where I have multiple businesses and I can do this where I don't need to be that embedded in it and have that much oomph in it. Because for most of us, if you're in that stage of trying to go from an owner to more of an investor that, you're going to have have some serious passion to go through some shit for a little bit. You can't just go to being I was in it and now I'm out. Now I'm just drawing money. And so I think that's the thing when I look at a lot of gym owners that, and they're looking at it, it's pick the thing that you make sure you're passionate about it. Don't just grab an opportunity, because you're just going to be donating the money back. Right. So I think that's the thing for me. It's I would encourage anybody to go into a MADabolic. I love them. I've obviously taken on a few and I'm going to double down with this. But for a lot of these guys, it's you just have to like the thing, or you have to be willing to have someone that really loves it. And you have to have the tactical wherewithal on the back end to help them do the shit. Otherwise it's just not going to work. That's just what it's going to come down to. You can't just will it forward.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Evan, this was phenomenal. Dude. Thank you so much for taking your time out on a Friday to sit down and chat with me. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, bud.
Absolutely. Thank you.